All right, so here's a second problem, and this first one is a perfect square. The second one is a perfect square. They're subtracted, so this is the correct pattern. And if I pull out a 3y plus 11z, the other factor will be a 3y minus 11z. When I FOIL that, I get the 9y squared on the front. I have a 33yz minus a 33yz, and then my negative 121z squared. So these are the factors. This one has a fraction in it, but the fraction is a perfect square fraction, isn't it? So if I took the square root of 4, I'd get a 2. If I took the square root of 49, I'd get a 7. So it's r plus 2/7 times r minus 2/7. Recognizing the pattern, the factoring is very easy. Now this one doesn't work. This one is not the correct pattern. There is not, even though they're both squares, there's not a minus sign in between. So it's important to understand that the sum of two squares does not factor. If you had a sum of two squares that had a greatest common factor, like maybe 36t squared plus 100, then you should pull out the common factor, which would be 4. Okay, and then we would pull out a 4 and get 4 times 9t squared plus 25. And although these are both perfect squares, because there's a plus, we could not factor it any further. So after we have pulled out a greatest common factor, a sum of two squares does not factor any further. Now this one has got a difference of two squares, and basically the book does it one way and I generally would do it a different way, because this one has a greatest common factor. I'll show you both ways. They're both correct. So if I pulled out a 9, okay, this is the way the book does it, 9, then I have a 4 minus m squared, which becomes a 9, 2 minus m, 2 plus m, okay, and that is correct. If I wanted to, could I have pulled out a negative 9? If I pulled out a negative 9, 36 divided by a negative 9 is a negative 4, so I'm going to put it at the back, and then negative 9m squared divided by a negative 9 is a positive m squared, so I'll put it at the front. And then when I factor these, I get negative 9 times m minus 2, m plus 2. Okay, so negative 9 times m minus 2, m plus 2. And notice that my factors, when I do that, turn out to be in descending order of the variable. I think it looks pretty, but they're both correct. I'll be back with more.